Hello everyone, David here from Beyond the Kingdoms, and today I've got a special mini episode for you guys, exploring the Imagination Pavilion at Epcot. Even though the Festival of the Arts is coming to a close very soon, there are a few ways to explore your creativity at Epcot throughout the rest of the year. So let's jump right in. And let's kick things off with 5 fast facts on the Imagination Pavilion. The origins of the main attraction here actually goes back to a Disneyland concept that Imagineer Tony Baxter had in the 1970s. Discovery Bay was to be an extension of Frontierland after the successful opening of Big Thunder Mountain. A Victorian-era, steampunk-inspired fictional place where inventor Jason Chandler, who made millions in the gold rush, funded dreamers and scientists from around the world to come and create their latest inventions. There was to be a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea inspired restaurant inside the Nautilus, a balloon ride that transported guests high in the sky to nearby Fantasyland, and Professor Marvel's Gallery, a carousel theater featuring a professor and his pet dragon as they showcase their latest discoveries and contraptions. After Discovery Bay was scrapped, many ideas made their way into other parks around the world, mostly Epcot. The iconic pyramid design that now houses the Imagination Pavilion was actually inspired by the original design concept for another Future World pavilion. The land was originally designed to feature 7 crystal structures. A dark ride that took guests on a balloon ride through different habitats would travel through these crystal greenhouses. The tallest would also feature a walkthrough exhibit and an observatory tower. When the concept and exterior design of the land was drastically altered, the idea of crystal structures serving as the exterior of a pavilion was then moved over to the Imagination Pavilion. As design and construction for Journey into Imagination plowed ahead, many different teams and Imagineers contributed to the project, such as the SHERMAN brothers, who were responsible for composing the legendary song that the attraction's main characters would sing in the original version of the ride, One Little Spark. And Dreamfinder's pet dragon, Figment, was originally meant to be green. This concept dated back to the original Professor Marvel ideas for Discovery Bay. But since the pavilion sponsor Kodak was weary of the color green being associated with their competitor Fujifilm, Figment was changed to purple instead. Due to the pavilion's late start and delays in construction, Journey into Imagination's main Omnimover attraction did not open on Epcot's opening day. On October 1st, 1982, only the ImageWorks and the Magic Journeys 3D film would be open in this Future World pavilion. The iconic ride, Journey into Imagination, that was adored by Epcot fans for years, would not open at the park until March 5th, 1983, a full 5 months after the rest of Epcot Center. The original Journey into Imagination attraction at Epcot was legendary. In many ways, it was the very heart and center of Epcot in the 1980s. It combined great technology with classic Disney storytelling and lovable characters. It was a beautiful combination of education and entertainment wrapped into one. Everyone loved it. So much so that Dreamfinder and Figment have long been regarded as the unofficial mascots of Epcot. The original ride combined 2 breakthroughs in terms of ride vehicles developed by Disney Imagineering: the Omnimover ride system and a rotating theater similar to the one created for Carousel of Progress. The Omnimover system used here was slightly different. in that instead of having one endless train that never stopped moving, there were trains comprised of 4 ride vehicles, and each train moved independently from each other. And this allowed for each individual train to enter the rotating theater that was the first portion of the ride. This is where you first met Dreamfinder aboard his Dreammobile. Again, some of that steampunk-inspired design from Discovery Bay clearly came out here. He introduced guests to his pet dragon Figment, and from there, everyone would go on a journey to the Dreamport, where the characters would drop off their ideas, ranging from scary stories and fairy tales to ideas for making movies and developing scientific breakthroughs. The post-show portion of the original pavilion was upstairs inside the glass pyramids themselves, known as the Imageworks. This was an interactive space where guests could play with Figment's coloring book, act out in Dreamfinder's School of Drama, and travel through the Rainbow Corridor. And the pavilion was then rounded out with a 3D film that originally played Magic Journeys, a sort of trippy, abstract film that explored the world through the eyes of a child. By 1998, major changes had taken place at the Imagination Pavilion. Magic Journeys closed a decade earlier to make way for George Lucas's Captain EO. And by 1994, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience replaced Captain EO. And a couple of years later, the story of Honey, I Shrunk the Audience was widened to Imagination's main attraction. And Professor Nigel Channing invited guests into the Imagination Institute to try out their new Imagination scanner. The dark ride was cut nearly in half, and the absence of the original lovable characters caused an outcry by Disney fans. So by 2002, very minor adjustments were made, and we arrived to the version of Journey into Imagination with Figment that we see today. The 3D Theater is now home to the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival, which now plays a collection of Disney animated shorts. Currently, they are Get a Horse and Pixar's Piper and Feast. The film festival does offer FASTPASS Plus and is part of Epcot's Tier 2 FASTPASS category, but it is never necessary as the wait time here is usually very low. Adjacent to the exit of the theater, guests with Disney Visa credit cards can visit the Disney Rewards photo spot. Cardholders can visit the character experience currently from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. with little to no wait at all. The characters featured inside have changed from time to time, but most recently it featured Mickey and Pluto. But the main reason to really take a side trip to this Future World Pavilion is to ride the Journey into Imagination with Figment attraction. I will admit, it is a far cry from the original, but little ones still enjoy this tour of the Imagination Institute with Figment. Now the ride story is about you, the guests touring the Institute, visiting the different sensory labs to learn how imagination really works. But Figment takes over the tour and takes guests on a fun side trip to explore just how wide your imagination can really reach. While us adults who remember the original may dislike this version, this is one of the few attractions that toddlers will enjoy on a day at Epcot. I personally recommend going on this if your little one is too short to ride attractions like Soarin'. If you're using Rider Swap at Soarin' Around the World or even Test Track, members of your group can take the little one over to Imagination for a quick ride with Figment. FASTPASS Plus is offered here and is also part of Epcot's Tier 2 category. But again, I do not recommend using it here. The wait is usually only just a couple of minutes. And if you're still killing time as you wait for your group, little ones can explore Imageworks, the What If Labs. They are simple yet colorful interactive exhibits that will entertain kids for a little bit. And very recently, Vanellope Von Schweetz and Wreck-It Ralph have moved in with Figment right here at the Imageworks. The Imagination Institute has opened up a portal into the world of the internet so that Ralph and Vanellope can meet all their fans. The two characters usually meet guests every day between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. And finally, if you simply have to get your hands on some Figment merchandise, the shop located near the exit to the attraction is a great stop to make. So there you have it, friends, a very quick exploration of the Imagination Pavilion at Epcot. A pavilion that has certainly seen a fair amount of change over the years, and one to keep an eye on in the future. If you're a Figment fan, this is certainly worth a quick stop on your next trip to Epcot. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and stay tuned in the coming months in my Exploring Future World mini-series. But until next time, remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.